Let's talk about money. Hi there, my name's Gabriel, and in this video today, I want to take a look at investing. Now, we all have heard that if we had invested in Tesla or Apple or even something like Bitcoin 10 years ago, then we would have enough money to live for the rest of our lives. But what is investing if you're a beginner? How do you do it? Where do you go to do it? Is it safe? Is it risky? This is a video that I kind of wish I had found myself 5 years ago, and so I thought I'd put it together with a very basic beginner's guide to investing. Now, before we get started, I have to say this is not financial advice, but this will be about what I've done and just kind of the techniques and tips and things that I've learned over the past few years as I've started my investing journey. And the first thing that I would say always is financial literacy is key. Get yourself educated and start learning about finance. Unfortunately, with the education systems, especially the one that we have here in the UK, that means that we're kind of left to it on our own. We have to go and find our own resources. And unless you've been fortunate enough to learn this from, I guess, your family or friends, this is something that you have to go out and do on your own. So what I would recommend is going online, watching YouTube videos, reading journals, reading articles, keeping up with the news, and reading as many books as you can on the topic of finance. Because this is the best way to get yourself educated on the topic. This is how I've done it myself, and there is no better time to start than today. For me, the real Kickstarter when I was trying to become a bit more educated financially was actually going out and starting to invest. Obviously, when it comes to investing your own money, you're not just going to go throw it somewhere and hope that it does as best as it can. You're going to want to know exactly where you're putting it, what kind of risks it's under, and for me, it was the kind of active push. I went and invested some money, and that led me to trying to educate myself a little bit more, and it's kind of like a domino effect. As the more I do, the more I want to know, and so on and so forth. So in this video, I'm not going to explain exactly what investing is and all of the definitions, etc., because you can look that up online, go on YouTube, watch a quick video. It'll take you half an hour to an hour to understand really the basics when it comes to investing. But what I am going to do, as I said, is discuss it from a really basic beginner's point of view, the point of view that I started at about a year ago. And hopefully, for those of you that are interested in investing but don't really know where to get started, this should be the perfect video for you. Why should I invest? A really amazing book to get you started to understand a little bit more about why investing is so important is called Rich Dad, Poor Dad, and I will pop that up over here. It's an amazing book to get you kind of educated and start your financial education. But what I've learned is that money is actually one of the most powerful tools when it comes to, I guess, growing your assets and actually making more money. You don't want your money sitting there doing nothing for you, just collecting dust. You want it to work for you. And if you, for example, take a look at a normal savings account, they would be probably in the UK today between 0.5% to 1% on the average account, whereas inflation is normally around 2%. So what does this mean? It basically means that over time, your money is actually losing value. Inflation is going up faster than your savings rate interest is. So your money will slowly and slowly be losing value. Of course, savings accounts are also key to keeping your money safe and making sure that you have access to it. So I'm not saying they are absolute rubbish. But what I am saying is, if you have a bit of spare money, investing is a great way to start growing it at a faster rate and making it actually gain value. Before I get started into more details about investing, the 3 golden rules are absolutely paramount when it comes to investing. As we all know, investing is risky. So there are 3 conditions that are normally set out when it comes to investing that you have to be aware of before you go and do it. The first one is the 3 to 5 year rule. When it comes to investing, you want to keep your money in that investment for as long as possible. Now I'm saying keep it 10, 20, 30 years. The longer, the better. But as a basic rule, most people say that you want your money in there at a minimum for 3 to 5 years. So when you're going to go and invest some money, you have to make sure that that is money that you will not need for the next 3 to 5 years minimum. And if possible, don't touch it for even longer than that. The second rule is nice and simple, and that is pay off your debts before you do any investments whatsoever. And the third rule is about having a safety net of cash. Now, the average recommendation for this is probably at around 6 months, especially as the world is today. We don't know what's around the next corner. So make sure you have 6 months of cash reserved just in case before you start investing. And if not, make sure you compile that cash and make sure you have it available to yourself before you start investing any further cash. If I'm going to take these rules and look at it for myself, when it comes to me, I like to put away 10% of my salary at the moment into investments. And I know it's a small amount, but as a beginner, this is what I feel safe with. This is money that I don't think I'm going to need in the near future. And that's why I'm happy to use it for now. So one of the biggest questions is all about, isn't investment risky? The answer is basically yes and no. When it comes to investments, you don't lose your money unless you withdraw your money at a loss. Otherwise, it's still in there as an investment and you should still hope for it to grow. If we take a look at the S&P 500 and you look at it over its entire lifespan, you can see that the general curve is that it does go upwards. That means that in the long span, as I said, if you hold your money in an investment for a long time, you should hope for it to give you back positive returns. Of course, you'll see as well that it's volatile, so there will be dips where occasionally you're going to start to lose value, but the whole point here is that if you don't withdraw that money at a loss, it will hopefully eventually recover and start to give you positive returns. So that's the whole idea. It is risky, it can lose value, but as long as you don't withdraw it at a loss value, you technically haven't lost any money just yet. Alright, so now you're on board, you're happy and you're interested in investing and you want to know, where do you do it? How do you start? So for investing, you need a broker, which is in the olden days, literally someone that you called up and asked them to invest your money and they would go invest your money. But nowadays, obviously, you can do it all online. And what you're looking for is a platform that can invest your money for you at the lowest cost possible. When it comes to this, I like to look at two different platforms. The first one is Vanguard. Now this is a great platform if you already have, I guess, a little bit of experience or knowledge in investing and you know which portfolios or index funds or individual stocks and shares you exactly want to put your money into. And it is probably the website right now with the lowest fees. But the one that I like to use and the one that I recommend if you're completely starting out from fresh, despite having slightly higher fees, is a completely online platform called Nutmeg. What this website does is it asks you a bunch of questions. How long you want to invest for, how much you want to put up front, how much you're willing to put in each month, and kind of your attitudes towards risk. And from that, it gives you a risk level that it thinks that would be acceptable for yourself. It makes it so easy. You don't choose exactly where you're going to put your money. It diversifies your portfolio for you. It's a fully managed platform and it takes care of all the difficult stuff for you. You just select your risk and it does the rest of the work. Okay, so now I've spoken about the platforms. What are the next steps? For this, I'm going to explain it through Nutmeg. This is the platform that I use and the one that I recommend if you're starting out from scratch. So the first thing you want to look at are ISAs. These are individual saving accounts and every person in the UK gets an allowance up to £20,000 per tax year. So the next step is, what ISAs do you want to set up? Now the first one that I always recommend is a lifetime ISA or a LISA. And again, please look into the conditions and do your own research on these. But essentially what they are is you get an allowance of up to £4,000 a year to put into a lifetime ISA, and the government will increase that allowance by 25%. So for example, if I use my full £4,000 allocation for that tax year, the government will throw in £1,000 on top of that into my account, which is amazing, but there are some consequences of that. And the first one is that your money has to be used on a first-time property under the amount of £450,000. Otherwise, you can only take that money out of retirements, or if you want to take out that money sooner, you'll lose the additional money that the government added on to your account. The next is obviously what you want to do with this lifetime ISA. So you can make it a stocks and shares LISA, or you can make it a cash LISA. Now a cash LISA will have a low interest rate, but of course safety is there. Otherwise, you can put it into a stocks and shares LISA, where on Nutmeg, again, you choose your rating of risk between 1 and 10, and you can go and invest that money. And that's the one I would recommend because you've basically been given the safety net of £1,000 by the government. Let's say if you use your whole £4,000 allocation, and for your money to lose 20% of its value, obviously it can happen, the risks are there, but it gives you a little bit of a safety net for investing if the money ever was to lose value. Aside from a LISA, I would recommend going into a normal stocks and shares ISA. Again, setting your risk between 1 and 10 and putting in an amount per month that you are comfortable with into this account. And if you filled up your ISA allowance already somehow and you're watching this video, then congratulations to yourself, you're doing very well. And then you can start to look at just normal investments. These will have tax conditions on them because they're not part of your ISA allowance, but you can start looking into other places where you want to put that extra money. If you are interested in opening up a Nutmeg account, what I'm going to do is leave a link in the description, which if you click on that, gives you 6 months of no management fees whatsoever on the platform. And essentially what that means is you can try it out, you'll have no costs incurred, and you'll be able to try out for the first 6 months. Obviously, the more you put in, the larger your management fees. So you could save actually quite a large amount of money in your first 6 months using the code. As I said, I'll leave it right at the top of the description. All right, that's everything that I've got to share with you. As I said, I wish I had a video like this a couple of years ago when I wanted to start out investing, but I really hope that it can be helpful for you. And do remember that As this isn't financial advice, you need to go and educate yourselves, start your financial education journey, start reading, start researching, start watching content creators that create a lot of videos about these topics, and remember the 3 golden rules. Good luck on your investment journey. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.